Well, you guys were already awake, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Lisa was right, walking in here this morning, this was just buzzing. Talk about it, just being awake and alive and present in the gift. You all are a beautiful community, and Amy and I are so blessed to be back here with you, so thank you so much. I want to talk today about a little thing called love, which we're already so well acquainted with this morning and even before we got here this morning. And I love the Daniel song that you chose about it being a decision to love, because today we're going to talk about the fact that it's impossible that there's anything but love. Isn't that good news? So I want to share a little story with you. A few years ago, Amy and I were cleaning up the house, and she ran off to go take some recycling to the recycling center. Oh, look at that. That's magic around here. What? You're so quick with that. You just went like poop, right? So we're tidying up, and she took off to the recycling center, and while she was gone, I wrote a little ditty. And I was going around the house cleaning and singing my little ditty, and she came back, and I was standing at the kitchen sink, singing in a very bad British accent, which I'm so happy to share with you this morning. This little song. It's impossible there's anything but love. And if it seems that there's not love, it's surely just a lack of love. A lack of love. And I was doing these little quirky dance moves, which you just saw. And so we laughed, you know, and it's been fun over the years to see how that little ditty's resurfaced at times in our lives when a personal situation we were experiencing or a connection with another human being didn't feel like love. We sing the little ditty, and we would talk about, you know what, it's not that it's not love. It is maybe that it's a lack of love in that moment. I'm going to share with you a Marianne Williamson quote, and it is, there is only one way out of this, and that is to see every moment and every situation as an invitation to love. There's only one way out of this. What is this? This is different for us each in our personal lives, you know. Sometimes this is concern for our health or the health of our loved ones. Sometimes it's we've got someone in our family that's battling addiction. Sometimes this is we're concerned about our finances. We're concerned about our safety and security. So we have our personal this. And then as a human family, we have a shared this. Sometimes this is concern about things going on in our community. Sometimes it's things going on in our nation, and sometimes it's our concern and worries about our relationship with the world. Sometimes this is our concern over crime and violence or inequality and injustice or world peace. So there's this that in every moment is coming forward and offering us this invitation to love. 500 years ago, Michael de Montaigne, is that right, Amy? I said it this morning in the car. En français, Montaigne?
Sure.
Okay. See, it's Kentucky Fried French. I'm doing But we'll just, I can't say it in a French accent, but doesn't it sound charming? Michael de Montaigne. He said, my life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened. Does that sound familiar?
Yep.
Don't we worry? We worry, don't we? And what's another word for worry? Anybody got another one?
Fear, right?
Fear.
All right, we're going to go with that one this morning. Fear. And so there's this belief, and many of you probably heard the teaching, that there's two primal emotions that we experience, love or fear. And that in any given moment, we're either responding from a place of love or we're reacting from a place of fear. So let's revisit my ditty, right? It's impossible there's anything but love. And if it feels it is not love, it's surely just a lack of love. So let's put that in practice for a minute. And let's talk about these thises, remembering that each time it's an invitation that we can accept to love. So this concern, about our health or a loved one's health is because we love our lives or we love their life, right? This worry about relationships is because we love that person or those people. This fear for our security and our safety is because we love ourselves and we love our loved ones and we want a future and hope. This angst about political corruption and scandal is because we love our country and we believe in its core values. This panic about crime and violence and terrorism is because we love our peace of body and mind and spirit. This horror of inequality and injustice is because we love all of God's people, don't we? And we think that everyone is worthy and everyone deserves fairness. This anxiety we have about climate change is because we love God's creation and we're so thankful for the gift of this planet. So we talk about this worry, this angst, this panic, this fear. And all of it, yet, do you see and do you feel how it's rooted in love? It's because we love things, because we love people. And that is the root of it. So in any given moment, we're just choosing between those two things. Where are we putting our energy? Are we putting our energy into that fear and that panic and that anxiety? Or are we putting it into the love and the gratitude and the joy? I know that when I'm trying to get somewhere, that nowadays we are pretty dependent on our GPS, aren't we? Back in the day, Amy and I are troubadours and we travel all the time, right? So back in the day, and we've been doing this for 23 years, we would do it with MapQuest directions. And we would get lost and we would ask directions of well-intending people who would send us 21 miles that way. So we would always joke that we were backtracking through life. Well, we don't do that anymore. Hopefully not in just day-to-day getting from point A to point B, but also spiritually. We're trying not to backtrack anymore. And so how do we do it in real life? We have maybe an app, a GPS app, right? So this morning we're going to talk about our GPS being, we can call it our God positioning system, or we can call it our gratitude positioning system. And so we're going to talk about those two primal emotions, love or fear, and how that love is a gateway into all these positive feelings, and fear is a gateway into negative feelings and emotions. And we don't want to stay there. You know, we have to assess where we are, and that's probably not where we want to stay. And so how do we get there? I want to share some teaching by this great Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe. And again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But he taught about the world of connection and the world of estrangement. Two completely different worlds. The world of connection is characterized by love and joy and tranquility and optimism and kindness and hope. And the world of estrangement is characterized by angst and anxiety and fear and unforgiveness and things like this. So when we're feeling joy, we can't feel fear. When we're feeling resentment, we can't feel thankful. When we're feeling critical, we can't feel love. It is really impossible to feel both at the same time. Yet, at every given moment, both are available to us. And this morning, I noticed Lisa singing from the top of her lungs, decide, right? We get to decide. So in this teaching that the rabbi taught about the world of connection and the world of estrangement, what I'm talking about is we've got to figure out where we are in the moment. You know, you ever have like everything's going bad and you're having a miserable day, and do you know how many times we don't just stop and check in, like, where am I right now? What got me here? Why am I feeling this way? So our very first thing that we do, just like we do in our car, is we identify our location. Where are we? Stop, sit for a minute. Where am I? Am I in the world of connection, or am I in the world of estrangement? And it's real easy. There's some identifying qualities of each world. So the world of connection is loving and generous and harmonious and happy and compassionate and optimistic and trusting in God and peaceful, while the world of estrangement are those feelings of I'm angry, I'm resentful, I'm fearful, I'm unforgiving, I'm critical, I'm jealous, I'm worried. So where are we? We identify that. And then it would seem really easy, wouldn't it, to decide, geez, that world of estrangement and that list there, I don't really want to stay there, right? But sometimes we do. And whether we are in the pit because someone pushed us in or we jumped in, it's still a pit. And sometimes we stay in there because we believe in our inalienable rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the right to stew. Did you know that was in there? Right? And we get snagged and stuck there because we're like, look what he did to me, and look what she didn't do for me, and look at, and we get stuck and snagged in those places, and it's a dark and sad and nasty place to stay. And yet, we can just choose. And you say, it's not that simple. But is it easy? Is it easy to stay in the world of estrangement? It's not. It feels lost and it feels disconnected, while this world of connection feels loving and welcoming. So we assess where we are, right? And then what's the next thing you do? You got to choose a destination, right? And so we choose our destination. And one of the ways that you do that is through an act of connection, something that makes you feel connected to yourself, something that makes you feel connected to others, something that makes you feel connected to God, that makes you feel connected to nature. In Judaism, an act of connection has to be an act of giving. And their word for love is ahava. Do you hear aha in there? Ahava. And the word for love actually comes from the word give. So when we're feeling disconnected and we're feeling in that world of estrangement and feeling shut off and barricaded from those feelings that we want to feel, like joy and love and goodness and happiness, then we can do an act of connection. And that's giving, but not necessarily material giving, although tied to church, give that way. But also, it's an act of giving your time or your attention or your forgiveness or your benefit of the doubt to someone. There are many, many ways to give. I love how kids understand this so innately. Have you ever noticed, like, kids show up in a totally random place they've never met. The next thing you know, they're spinning each other in a swing or they're chasing each other around. They're very good at connection. So there was this, not too long ago, there was this little test they did with kids to ask them the meaning of love. And these were some of the adorable answers that I loved. And so here's one of them. Love is when a girl puts on perfume and a boy puts on shaving cologne and they smell each other. That's the world of connection, right? Another one was, love is at Christmas when you finish opening all the presents and you just sit there and you listen. Connection. Love is when you tell a guy you like his shirt and he just wears it every day. Love is when you love somebody and your eyelashes go up and down and little stars come out of you. Connection. And I love this one. The author, Leo Buscaglia, he talked about this contest he was asked to judge, and they wanted to choose the most caring child. And this winner was a 4-year-old who saw his elderly neighbor who had just lost his wife sitting in his yard crying. And the little boy went over and sat with the gentleman, and his mom was watching out the kitchen window. And when he came home, she said, "Honey, what were you doing over there? What did you say to him? I noticed he was crying." He said, "I didn't say anything. I just helped him cry."
Oh, Mom.
Connection, the world of connection. Doesn't that feel so good? Yeah. And in our world today, aren't we feeling estrangement and disconnect? And so, In that moment, we get to decide, what are we choosing? What is our destination? Do we want to feel more connection in this world? Are we being that active connection? Are we making that connection? It feels not only good to the person you say, I love your earrings. Those are beautiful earrings. That feels so good to them, but you feel it's an exchange. It's an energy flow. And we need more of that in our world. And so how do you get out of that world of estrangement? You choose to make connection, as the kids teach us so beautifully. There is a story I want to tell. My dad was a preacher, and he used to tell this story about the devil and a sale. And I want to talk about it this morning. And this morning, I'm going to call the devil the adversary. So the adversary wanted to have this big sale, and he had all these tools, all these implements of evil. And he wanted to put them on Facebook Marketplace because Craigslist had gotten really dangerous and eBay's fees had gotten too high. So, but Facebook was shut down for maintenance, and the adversary couldn't put his tools up for sale there. So he had to do it the old-fashioned way, which didn't make the adversary happy. And I've got news for you, adversaries are seldom happy anyway. So he had to have a yard sale, and he put up signs at all these major intersections and crossroads. And people came in droves. And when they got there, he had this one table all spread out with all his implements of evil, and they were shiny and sharp and pretty reasonably priced. But on this one table, he had just this one tool. It was all worn out and dirty, and it had the highest ticket price of them all. So someone asked the adversary, why is that tool so much higher priced than these? I mean, these are shiny and new, and I mean, they're much more reasonably priced, and there's so many more of them, but why that one? And he said, that tool, that's fear with an optional attachment of worry. And so the bargain hunter said, well, why do you have it priced so high? And he said, because it's more useful to me than any of the others. If I can pry open and get into a person's consciousness and deep into their heart with this tool, I can bring inside all these other tools of envy and malice and anger and angst and jealousy and unforgiveness. It's so much more worn because I use it with nearly everybody, and not everybody knows it's associated with me yet. So I can get deep into hearts that are otherwise inaccessible. And when I get into this tool with someone's heart, the way is open to plant all these other things, anything there that I might desire, all my other implements of evil. You know, I had the evil laugh. But it's a sobering truth, isn't it? It's a sobering truth that if we believe in anything, that we believe it's impossible that there's anything but love, then there's this perilous, treacherous belief that has more power. We're giving more power and more credence than love in that moment. And I really believe, and I hope that you're feeling and seeing this morning, that love really is all there is. And sometimes it's just a lack of love. And love's not automatic. And just because we're created in the image and likeness of God, and we don't automatically just go into autopilot and choose that. We have to decide. It's a decision we make every day. And so today I ask you, will I choose the way of love? I heard a story recently, and I want to close with this one. It was about a 92-year-old woman, and she had recently lost her husband, and the family didn't know what to do anymore. After 70 years of marriage, she tried a few months of living on her own, and she couldn't live on her own anymore. And so they decided she had to go into a nursing home. So they took her there. Her room wasn't ready, and so she sat in the lobby for several hours. And the attendant finally came and said, Mrs. Jones, we have your room ready. And she said, all right. And so she got up, and she had her walker, and she was 92 years old, and it was going slow a long ways down that hallway. So the attendant decided to talk to her a little bit about the room. She said, Oh, Mrs. Jones, you're going to love your room. We just refreshed and redid everything. In fact, this morning we put up some nice eyelet curtains for you there. She goes, I love it. And she said, well, how do you love it, Mrs. Jones? You haven't seen it. She said, I already decided to love it. She said, I make a decision every morning when I wake up. I have a choice. I can spend the day in bed recounting all the parts of my body that don't work, or I can give thanks for the ones that do. And she was legally blind, by the way. She said, each day is a gift, and as long as I keep my eyes and my heart open, I'll focus on the new day and all the happy memories I've stored away for just this time in my life. And she went on to say, old age is like a bank account. Someday you will withdraw from it all you've put into it. My advice to you would be to deposit a lot of happiness in the bank account of memories. In fact, at 92 years old, I'm still depositing. And with a smile, she shared 5 simple rules to being happy. Decide to free your heart from hatred. Decide to free your mind from worries. Decide to live simply. Decide to give more. Decide to expect goodness. And then she said with that sweet smile, whoever it is or whatever it is, just simply decide to love it. It's impossible to miss anything but love. Thank you all so much.
Please close your eyes for a moment. Get comfortable in the chair. Let your body rest. Find your center. Relax your shoulders and open your heart. Take a deep breath. And summon your highest self. Summon your true self. And ask yourself, how can I love you better? How can I be more kind? Let yourself hear and receive the answers. How can I love you better? How can I be more kind? Now bring to heart your family, those you love, those who are so easy to love, but those you want to love better and deeper. And ask, how can I love you better? How can I be more kind? And now those in our circle, in our field of knowing and loving and growing, those who are not so easy to love, to brush against, those in our family, those we work with, maybe even someone in your church community. See them as innocent children desiring love. And ask how you can be a better servant to their heart. How can I love you better? How can I be more kind? And now expand that out this question, this field of loving and consciousness, expand it out to the world, to leaders or figures in this world that you have difficulty loving. See them as innocent children, needing to be heard and to be loved. And ask, how can I love you better? May we be safe from harm. May we be happy just as we are. May we be peaceful with whatever is happening. May we be healthy and strong. May we care for ourselves and each other in this ever-changing world with grace and with joy. Let us love deeper. Let us expand our kindness in new and glorious ways.